You say that because that's actually similar to how we started Lanllo, because when we were doing in high school, we did YouTube, so we got into like kind of doing video stuff, and then a few years after that, we were both doing like some drop shipping and just playing around with different little like businesses, just trying it.
Yeah.
But we did all our own content, all our own ads, everything. So then when we realized like, hey, we're not killing it at drop shipping, but we've kind of gotten good at making these videos and stuff, then like,
fell in love with that
came.
part, right? Fell in love with the part of like marketing, but not so much about the drop shipping. So it's like, well, but that's the thing. Sometimes you just gotta do things and like find out, you know?
I can't speak for other people, but I know for myself, like I feel it. I'm like, oh, I like this. This is interesting. And then I just go deeper into it.
Yeah, with this stuff, like, because when I was living in Toronto, actually, I did like freelance stuff. But I just like never really saw a vision of like, okay, how do I turn this into like an actual career? You know, I'm making $100 here, $100 there, but it's like, this ain't paying rent. But then when we thought about the business and like growing it, I was like, okay, there's actually an opportunity here. Like we could turn that into something. It's sweet. And through that, I've met so many people like you, like Jamie, like all these people. That's like, okay, people are out here doing this. Like this is real.
We're all on the same wave. You know what I mean? I think it's a certain type of individual. It's a very like entrepreneur spirit type of individual.
Yeah.
And obviously we connect because we're all in marketing and content and things of that nature. But you can find people like us in every single space.
Yeah.
And once you connect, you realize like, oh shoot, like the things I think, the things I feel are not like just me. There are like a select group of individuals that are psychos like us.
Yeah.
And then you all kind of like feed off of each other, inspire each other, hold each other accountable, and you become powerful. I don't know if you've heard of the concept of like the mastermind. 7 spiritual laws of
No,
I haven't.
So basically in the book it says there's this concept of a mastermind, and basically it's a group of people that are working in perfect harmony. And what happens is I say something that sparks an idea in your head, you say something sparks an idea in your head, you say something sparks an idea in my head, we keep doing this, and then we come to a finalized idea that none of us could have came to on our own. And what the concept is there's basically like a fourth brain right now floating above us that is all of us connecting and creating that finalized idea, and that's the concept of the mastermind.
Damn.
Wow.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
No,
it's definitely like the power of people, right? Just having the right people around you just makes you think differently. Right? Even just like the power of like listening to a podcast or someone that like you really look up to. Like Mason and I have been like idolizing Alex Hormozi. Just like you just listen to some of his stuff and I'm like, damn man, like some things just click differently. Right? Like sometimes you have the same concept idea, but like when he explains it differently, like puts it in a different light, it just opens up a whole different situation. You know?
100%. One thing I noticed with very successful people is they're very good at simplifying complexity.
Totally. And that's a perfect example of Alex Hormozi. Like takes crazy concepts and just puts it in very simple, straightforward terms. Not trying to beat around the bush, make it easy to hear, like just easy, simple. Yeah,
like something that seems so like gray and so like, how do you figure this out? He's like, well, it's simple, you know? A person has like a desire, and when you have a desire, like you have a need for that desire. If you fulfill that need at a cost, you know what I mean? He'll just fucking
and just like clicks in your head. Like, damn.
Man,
like,
sometimes I think
really
he's like on the
simple.
spectrum, bro. Like how is he so clever? You know, but then at the same time, like he just talks about like reps, you know, like the reason why he can think and like just think the way he does is because of the things that he thought of. You know?
He's been through it. But
and also like taking the time to just think. A lot of people are just on like autopilot almost. It's like, oh, like how do we create a brand? And it's like, okay, let's just like start posting on social media. These colors are cool. Like, what about this font? Like, and it's like they don't just like take a second to be like, okay, let's all just chill out. Let's all just start asking questions. Let's all just start having conversations. Let's just wander, as Jeff Bezos likes to say. And just like wait for like us to learn and see the path. And I think a lot of people are just trying to like do whatever and go wherever and just don't like take the time to think. And I think Hormozi like really thinks, and that's why he can break it down so simply, because he thinks, he sees like 100 things and then it's like, nah, it's just these 4. You know?
And he puts it in. And I find with all the content out there that you can like learn about things, that also just prevents people from actually taking a second to like think about it on their own, because they're like, oh, I want to start a brand, start watching YouTube videos, and it like feels like you're being productive, like, okay, I'm learning, I'll try that, but you never actually think, like you never stop to actually try to think, what would I do, how would I do it differently? Like,
and that's why like there was he touched upon this in his latest podcast. He was like, he's not a big fan of reading before doing. He said, like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, do entrepreneurship shit before you start reading entrepreneurial books. Because then when you start reading after doing the shit, then it just makes more sense, right? Because if you start reading about, let's say, how to play soccer, but you've never played soccer before, like, it might make sense, but you won't be able to really relate to it, right? And so that's really powerful, just like doing, you know? You know what's so cool though? I've actually met you before. I'm 99.9% I have.
I'm trying to think.
In Ottawa. It was, hopefully I'm right. I'm really good with faces.
There's about 4 people that look exactly like me in the world, so
no,
You're probably good.
No, but I think this was maybe 2017 or 2018.
Okay.
We were at the club Junction. So my buddy was in town, and you know one of our buddy named Jacob Villanueva, and apparently I think you guys worked at Low or Rona together or something. And then I just remember like you're just super energetic. I was like, man, this guy's so cool, and you bought everybody drinks. I was like, oh yeah, bro, that's what you did. I was like, what the hell? Why is this guy so nice? You know? So I was like, it's so funny because I totally forgot about that until like we were setting this whole podcast. I was like, man, like, Hayden kind of reminds me of someone that I've met before.
So wild.
And it was so wild. Like, this is when Junction was open. I don't know if they're still open anymore, but
I don't think so.
No, so this is actually our second time meeting.
That's insane. and this is like a great example of like how the world works. Right?
Yeah, man.
Where it's just like, what a sick story.
I know.
Like a completely different life we were living.
Yeah.
And like, it's things like that are like teach you a lot about someone, right? Like, it's not just like who I am now. It's like you met me when I was working at Rona.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I don't think you work there anymore. I don't think
I was in 2017. I definitely was.
Okay.
Yeah, I got my internship with the Red Blacks in September of 2017. So maybe at the end of 2017, but I was still like fresh out of Rona.
Okay, because that's when I started working at Rona too.
Yeah.
No, that's wild. No,
I will say, like, that's one thing. I know we were talking earlier about like coming to Toronto, like what are the benefits and everything, and that's one thing I do love about Ottawa is like once you start getting into business and stuff or just random situations, like you start to get to know everyone. Like you really start to understand and network with the whole city, which is quite cool. I do like that part of it.
100%.
But obviously there's so much more opportunity out here, but there's just something cool about like, oh yeah, I know that guy. Oh, you wanted to connect? I know that guy. Like, it's
I think it's about making real connections, right? Because at the end of the day, you could just be just a person that you meet, but like you actually have to create an impact in someone's life for them to remember, right? Yeah. The reason why I even remember that interaction was because like, wow, like this guy bought me a drink, and that's because like because if you didn't do that, then I would have just totally forgot, right? I was like, okay, this was just a guy that just worked at Rona as well, you know. But the fact that you bought everybody a drink, I was like, wow, like this guy's either a baller or just super nice. You know?
I wasn't balling.
I was probably just drunk. We are now, you know?
It's abundance mindset early
there
on.
You go. But yeah, no, it's just crazy.
Yeah, but no, yeah. So in terms of coming to Toronto, like, how do you compare it? Obviously, there's some obvious differences, but does it feel kind of like you're just a small fish in a large pond? Is it too intimidating, or is it just like a lot more going on, or what do you think?
No, I definitely have a deep self-belief about myself, so I'd never feel like intimidated by a city. Genuinely, it already feels small. Swear to God.
Oh wow.
But I think Toronto is better in all aspects except I miss my friends and family. It's loud, so if you just want like peace and quiet, you don't get it here. There's a lot of construction, so it can be quite dusty. But other than those 3 aspects, I like everything else more, for sure.
Yeah. Yep. How has it been, like, business-wise? Like, just, was it instant? Did you already have some connections out here?
I've never been, like, an in-person person as the main driver of my business. Okay. So, of course, I'll meet people, shake hands, and get business that way. But it's all online for me. So, I never cared where I live necessarily. And so, it hasn't really changed much in that aspect.
Interesting. So for Cashion, like, marketing, is that like most of your clients, are they just all around Canada,
all over the place,
all around the world?
Yep.
Wow.
And they'll basically find me through my content on Instagram or TikTok, or come referral.
Okay. So it's really just social media.
Yeah, like people don't care. They just want to know, like, are you good at what you do?
Yeah.
Did the numbers make sense from a price standpoint? All right, let's rock. And yeah, I mean, I'm funny. Like I closed my barber the other day as a client. So anywhere I go, I'm always trying to close, but
that's sweet.
I'm not a person that necessarily is like going out of my way to find people to close, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What about, do you find there's people, like more people to work with in terms of execution side, like not clients, but networking and things like that?
Of course, but I haven't dipped into it. There definitely is. There's events every single night. You can just, and being in the city, it's like you can go there, you can go there, you can go there. Like there's just so much going on all the time.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't know, like social media is scale, right? Like you can't go to a networking event and reach 1 million people overnight. You can on social media. So it's a better time input. Now, of course, an in-person connection is much more deeper instantly.
Yeah.
But I don't think that pro weighs out the pro of being able to reach so many more people in a flash if you do it correctly.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why everyone should focus their time on scaling through the internet.
Yeah.
But how do you create the actual value or impact for people to remember, right? Like for going back to the example, like you buying me a drink made me remember you, but like how do you translate that over to social media?
Of course, yeah.
Because there's millions of like influencers or people making content, right?
Of course. And I think, doing something that is in person will always be the number one, but it's not practical for scale, right? So you have to weigh the pros and cons. So it will always be the number one in terms of like instant impact.
Yeah.
But I think for me, like people DM me, ask me a question, I'll just send them my number. I'll be like, call me right now. Person I don't know, could be like a guy in high school trying to figure out like how to run an agency, and I'll just start talking to him. I'll be like, hey, what are you doing? What are you thinking? And it's just like, I think you can do absurd activities like that that show people that you actually care, and then don't ask for anything in return. And like that's how you do it, through the internet.
And that instantly like turns it into a more in-person type of interaction. Like it goes just a quick DM, now we're on a phone call, now you're no longer just a social media page, like you're an actual human.
And even like you experienced it a little bit, right? Like I connected you with someone and I like followed up with you and I was like, okay, here's how to do it, do this, and like there was no benefit to me, like inherently, like I wasn't getting paid for doing that. But like when you do those activities at scale, then stories trickle at scale, and like if somebody brings up my name around you can say stuff like this, and then it just makes them be like, oh, I'm 100% working with that person. And so
it's like just planting seeds, right? And like,
and it feels good too. Like I enjoy doing that stuff, and it breaks patterns. Like sitting at your laptop all day trying to like optimize your sales funnel is like, you can only do that for so long before you want to like go to bed. And so like doing this type of stuff is actually like energizing.
Yeah, keeps it real, keeps it like personal. Instead of just a screen all day.
100%.
But yeah, so I mean, I'm actually surprised to hear that like Toronto, you don't even need the like networking and stuff. So like, what was the reason that brought you out here? Like, what was the main driver that made you?
Well, I mean, I found an amazing life partner. And so that was the number one thing, is it was always their dream to move here. And when I got in a relationship with them, it was always the plan to move here. And so for me, I was more like laissez-faire. Like I was happy. I was considering going to Miami. I was like, cool, Toronto's fine. There's certain places I didn't want to go, but like for the most part, I was like, I don't really care where I go because I'm just going to set up shop and work. It doesn't really matter. And so I think Toronto is really great for inspiration. Right? Like I walk around and there's so much life at all hours of the day. There's people you can just tell like moving and hustling. There's a lot of like finance people, lawyers and things like that, like moving around, and it just like feels kind of like that energy. And I think that is something that I really appreciate. But yeah, the networking aspect, I don't know, it's just never been my number one focus at in-person networking. I just don't think it's efficient.
No, and that's for sure. Of course, the scale-wise, then social media just is unbeatable. But no, I remember, when I worked here, like, or when I lived here, it was the same thing. Like, I was in school, I just had a job, but I was doing my freelancer stuff on the side, and it was like, every time I'm just walking around looking up at the buildings, like, man, I just want to work. I just want to like grind right now. Like it really does. Like there's an energy here.
100%.
It's very real.
It makes you want to hustle, like people are just like working all the time.
Seeing nice cars drive by. It's looking good.
That's something you don't see in Ottawa, and like I find like in Ottawa is very, I mean, maybe it's because I haven't really put myself out there, but like I just find it somewhat difficult to find people like in our industry or like with a similar mindset, right? And like so that's why it's such a treat to have conversations with people who are like entrepreneurs or just like 100%. People that are just like doing things, right?
Like somebody messaged me the other day who I've actually known since elementary school, They were my brother's age, so 3 years younger. So like I didn't know them super direct, but like I've known them essentially their whole life. And they had a podcast. Actually, I did it maybe in like 2018, and they DM me and they're like, 2024, what would be your number one recommendation for me? I was like, are you still living at your parents' house? And he was like, yep. And I was like, move. Like, I don't care where, I don't care what, but you cannot grow beyond the tank you're in, right? Like they say fishes don't grow bigger than their tanks, but a fish can grow bigger in a bigger tank than it would in a smaller tank. Like naturally, the body feels it.
Yeah.
And I was like, you just have to take the next step of like getting into a bigger tank. It could literally be like 20 minutes away in an apartment. Like I don't care, but just get out of that environment because it will change your life in ways you couldn't even imagine. The way it makes you think, the way it makes you act, to be living on your own terms and not be surrounded by an environment that you were, a child in, because you're still feeling that child energy. How are you supposed to become a man and grow and like evolve in a place that you still have memories of being a child and taking care of it?
Yeah.
You have to continue. And like for me, like Toronto's amazing, but there's no way this is it for me. Like it's going to continue. Yeah.
But sometimes when you do that, like it could be really, really stressful, right? Especially like
what are you talking about?
Like financially, like let's say like stepping out of your comfort zone, it could be really like stressful.
That's good though.
And sometimes that's a benefit of it too, right?
Growing pains, right?
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
You're like, more hungry. You have to.
What is stress? It means that you're taking on something you've never taken on. And what does that mean? You're going to become something you never were.
Yeah.
Like stress is great. If you're not stressed, it means you're not growing.
Yeah.
You're comfortable.
Yeah. Like, of course, there's different levels, like different styles of stress.
Yeah.
But if it's stress because of growth, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard this quote once. It's probably from Alex Hormozy. It says along the line of like, just because you're struggling does not mean you're failing. And I thought that was so beautiful. And like, it's so true, right? Because like when you're struggling, it just means that you're doing something hard, right? And like hard isn't supposed to be easy, right? Like people always talk about like things are like, people accept the fact that life is hard, but like on a day-to-day basis, like you can't pick what's hard. Sometimes something is just hard, right? And like that's just life itself.
What's the hardest thing that you're dealing with right now in your life that you want to share, and how are you overcoming it? My podcast now.
No,
take over. Do it.
Honestly, it's I've recently just quit my job actually because that was like stressing me out.
Like the media company?
No.
Just let them know now.
No. I used to have a 9-to-5 job, and then it was really stressing me out actually. Yeah. Because I was like, man, like I want to be all in on my business, and in order for me to compete, I can't be just doing my business 5 to 6 hours a day because that's the only free time I have outside of my 9-to-5, right? And outside of my personal life. Yep. So, and I was like, you know what? Like, this is really pissing me off. And then, like, I know by the end of 2024, this isn't something that I see myself doing. Yeah. So I just cut the cord. Yep. Just cut. And so, but now, because I got rid of my 9-to-5 job, now I have to make sure that I can be financially stable to like live this lifestyle that I want, right? So it's another additive stress, which is a good stress because that means I just have to do better for my business.
And did you see a vision of like, cool, I'm gonna quit my job when I'm at X, Y, and Z point, or is it like, fuck it, I'm quitting now because I'm pissed?
It was the second one.
The second one?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, and I've quit my job multiple times actually.
Okay.
And so like
professional.
No, exactly. It's more of like
put that on your resume. Eh?
There you go, man. I mean, maybe this is the last time that I'll quit, I
hopefully.
Hopefully. But no, it was just like I just believe in myself so much. Yeah. I just believe in myself so much, and I just know that like this is what I'm set out to do. Yeah. And I'm just so confident. Yeah. And I've always figured it out. And I find myself that I operate in my best when my back is against the wall.
I got a question for you both.
Okay.
This will be fun. As a team, what are your roles and what are your strengths and weaknesses? What is his strengths and weaknesses? What is his strengths and weaknesses? And how do you like...
This is a good question.
Yeah. No, I love this shit.
So the way I put it, like the easiest way to put it is basically he gets clients, I keep him happy. That's how we put it.
So you're sales?
He's sales.
Yeah.
He's marketing. I'm shooting the video. I'm handling all the editors. Like I'm handling the execution side. He's handling.
So you're creative and you're like the business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's exactly how we'd put as individuals too. Like I've always been into the videography, like just the camera. I kind of nerd out over the gear, and he's like. He enjoys the creative process, but he's like, I could have a garbage business. I could have anything. I just like business.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just love business. Yeah, so I'm more of on the business side of things, and he's more of on the creative side of things. Yep. And so oftentimes when we make content, it's usually my face that you'll see, right? Yep. But Mason's just on the back end.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And what's his biggest strength and weakness? And how do you support on both? And then I want you to go back.
Okay.
So I'd say his biggest strength. Yo, I'm into it. Let's go.
No beef after this, okay?
This is like marriage counseling.
I love it.
Remember a good time you guys had.
We needed this for real. But no, I'd say his biggest strength is like communication. Like he's able to just build connections. Like there's like I'd say probably 70 to 80% of our clients have just been like a guy he knows reaching out. Oh, I saw you guys are doing this. Cool. Let's talk, whatever. And it comes and like we'll just have a conversation. He'll just like be like following up with them and stuff. He's very good at having connections, whereas I'm really bad at it. Like I'm not even like for a bit. I kind of stepped off the podcast. I'm like I'm just not a talker. Like I like the camera. I'm good, but I'm back. I wanna do it. So but yeah, I'd say that's his biggest strength. Just like building connections. Like
what's my weakness, bro?
What's the weakness? This is the
weakness?
Clip. What's
That's
his
interesting.
Ready? I'll cue up the clip.
Well,
what is David's biggest weakness?
Oh my God, he's always late. He's like no,
but, bro. No, actually, about being late. I had to knock on this guy's door this morning.
I did not wake up for this.
Because this guy was sleeping through his alarm.
It was 4 a.m.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't blame you.
Yeah, I woke up to banging on my door, but we made it. But weakness is tough, honestly, because I think we've optimized for that. Like I'd say maybe his weakness, like if we were shooting video, is he just knows less about the camera than I do. But that's why we've just decided because at the start we both did everything. He was trying to learn video, I was trying to learn the other stuff, and like so we kind of separated ourselves from our weaknesses, you know, because my weakness by far is like communicating, like building connections, all that. So yeah, I'd say we've.
Now I want you to pick a real weakness, and it has to be something that's like his job, because you're the camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean that's tough. I'm really trying to think like.
I'm just good at everything.
This is birthed out of there's this thing where you have to like review people.
Yeah.
But you can't rate them a 7.
Yeah.
You have to rate them out of 10. About how they are as an employee or whatever, but you can't rate them a 7 because that forces people to make a decision. Because a 6 is bad and an 8 is good. You gave a 7 answer, and I'm not happy.
Okay, I have one. I think his weakness is focus, and not in terms of like sitting down and working, but it's like he'll be super excited. Yo, I have this idea. We're gonna do it. It's gonna take us to another level. And I'm like, let's do it, man. I'm so down. We start working on it. Then like 3 days later, bro, I have a new idea. Let's forget that for a second. Let's do that.
That's classic entrepreneur.
It's a polished. And so it's not a new idea. It's a polished idea from my previous idea.
Yeah. So there's a lot of times where I'll just be like, no shot, stop talking right now, like we're finishing what we started. And then he'll explain it a bit more. I'm like, okay, I get it, you're right, like we were just wasting our time, this is better, like so but no, that's by far like he's all over. So I have to hold it down sometimes where I'm like, no, we had something started, let's finish that.
That's definitely one thing, because like sometimes I'm too ambitious and then he levels me back down to reality.
Way to turn that into like a compliment. I'm just so ambitious.
I just work so hard sometimes.
Honestly, man.
No, but it is good because we've had a lot of good ideas come from it, but there are ones where I'm just like, maybe, but let's just finish what we're doing now. 100%. How about that?
Cool. Okay, quick fire on him, and then I'll let you guys take the podcast back.
No,
honestly, he's well organized. He's really organized about everything. I mean, just with people, he's good with people. Just everything, because anyway, organization, 10 out of 10.
That's important, since you're kind of a bit more all over the place, that you're organized. That's like a beautiful combo.
It is.
And then his weakness is that he's an overthinker. He has no confidence in some decisions. Because sometimes I'd be like surprised that he would ask me for my opinion when he's like, yo, you can make this decision. Because but I feel like we've just kind of worked that way, right? Like
100%.
Like it's out of respect too. Like I know he knows how to make the decision, but sometimes he just questions himself.
And a question for you, are you like that in all aspects of life or just in certain categories?
No, definitely. Like imposter syndrome is huge for sure. And it's definitely like lately, I don't know, there's something about, you know, when we got our studio and like we're both full time. It's just like these things have like confirmed to me like, okay, this is real. Like this isn't just some hobby we're trying and acting like it's a business. Like this is real. Yeah. But I needed that confirmation. Like it didn't feel real to me.
Had to convince him that it was a good idea for the studio.
Yeah, that was tough. That was scary.
But no, staying in this topic, I know you have 2 businesses. You have Modern Marketing. Yep. Right. And Cashion Marketing. Mm-hmm. When you're hiring people, what's a character trait that you look for? Like, what's the number one important trait?
I want someone that's open to feedback. Okay. I think not a lot of people, but there is a certain type of person that takes feedback personally. Mm-hmm. And like, I'm a patient person, but I also need to move fast. Mm-hmm. And if you're someone that I have to massage the truth to over like 4 conversations gently, at this stage of the company, I need to move quicker than that. I need someone that I can be like, look, you're really messing this, and this up. Okay. Here's my ideas for how you can fix it. What do you think about those ideas? Oh, that's really smart. Let's actually do that. Love it. Boom. All right, let's rock.
Yeah.
And there's no like freak out, you know, or like sadness or any of that energy. I think I really need that in my business. So that's the number one thing. And when I like interview someone, I'm very direct with them and like almost like more stern than I naturally am, just to gauge their energy, if it freaks them out or if they're like fired up by it.
Yeah. Because in a business that's like changing and growing and like there's new stuff going on, they need to be able to like take a direction, make the change and go, and not like.
And you've experienced it a bit too. I remember, I got pissed at you once.
Oh yeah, what was that?
Because it took so long to text. I like, okay, this is what happened. This is so funny. I brought him an opportunity. Yeah. He must have taken 3 days to text me back. I was like, bro, I had an opportunity brought to me yesterday at like 9:30 a.m. I called the guy at like 9:47 and was like, let's rock. What's up? How can I help? This guy took 3 days. I was like, bro, I just put money on your plate. 3 days to get back to me?
Yeah. Okay. No, it's funny because he was telling me about that like after it happened, and then he was like, he felt so bad and he was like trying to like, because this goes back to the focus thing. Like let me tell you, I literally just got this guy on Google Calendar like last week, bro. Like this guy doesn't know what's happening in our business. So it's something he's working on.
I have my own calendar. Sure. Okay, it's written, handwritten.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's funny though.
No, honestly, not making any excuses.
But here it comes.
I had a flip phone at that time. Remember you were texting me on 2 numbers.
Well, that was half the battle. He's like, you texted this phone. I need this. It's like, bro, no. That's a you problem.
Yeah, not a me problem. Exactly. Yeah. So.
No, for sure. But much appreciated.
No, but that was a good reality check, though. That was a good reality check. Because I was like, you know what? If I want to play with the big dogs, I got to be able to like handle big dog stuff.
And this is it. It's like, I went direct with you. Yeah. But out of love. Like, I wasn't like saying mean things or like cursing or like yelling or anything. I was like, yo, you can't do that. Yeah. You're gonna fail. Yeah. When someone texts you an opportunity, you hit them back instantly.
Yeah. And I accepted that.
And it's because I want you to win. Yeah. Like that's winner shit. Yeah. There's certain things you let wait that are not important, but when money's on the phone, you pick up.
Especially when it's someone important too, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And because it puts your reputation on the line too, because then it's like, okay, I promised this guy one thing, but I haven't heard back from this guy.
100%. And it also just makes me then want to go back to that person and be like, you know what? Actually, don't work with them. I didn't know they act like that. You know what I mean?
It's not a good sign for how it's going to go. No, that's very true. No, it's a very valuable lesson that we all need to hear. But yeah, going back to like Cashion marketing and stuff, like where did you learn ads? I know you went to school for marketing, but like where did that knowledge come from?
Yeah, so I was at U Ottawa for marketing. And I took a digital marketing certification. That was like a side thing. Okay. It was a partnership with the university. It was a marketing agency and the university did a partnership. So I did this like 10-week certification. And through that, I got an internship with OSEG. So they own the Red Blacks, the 67s, and then the former Fury. And they also own like the shopping space and certain aspects of Lansdowne as well. And so I did marketing for them. And they were sick where they were just like, hey, what do you want to learn since you're an intern? They're like, we got lots of stuff going on. Like, what interests you? And I was early in the game, so I was like, I don't even know yet. So I started like doing some of their emails, and then I started doing like, you know, some of their social content stories. I'd come to the games and do the stories and stuff. And eventually they were like, do you want to try ads? And this was 2017. So like they would spend a lot of money on marketing, but their ad spend was low, like in comparison to everything else they spent on. So it was a blessed spot where they were like, hey, you know, this 67s game coming up, here's the budget. Go run Facebook ads and like leave us alone.
Wow.
And so I started nerding out about it. I started YouTubing all these strategies, and then every week there'd be like a game, and I would get to just test these new strategies.
Wow. What an opportunity!
With you know, a couple
with free money,
with a couple $1,000, which like, you know, is a lot of money to test. Like that's fine. You know what I mean? And the best part is like their brand was established, so they'd actually get good ROI, like no matter what you did.
Yeah, true.
And they just didn't care. They were like, please just like don't bother us.
Wow.
And so it was like it was the blessed spot. And then the smartest thing I did was I documented everything on my story. So all these people started seeing me like working like for the Red Blacks, running their ads, getting like 10 times return on investment. And everyone was like, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? And so that kind of started the ball rolling.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. No, because actually, I was wondering like, how did you get to work with the Red Blacks? That's really interesting. And then like,
this is what happened. This is pretty funny. I don't think I've ever told this story. So I got a job opportunity for an agency in Montreal, like a real job now. But they wanted me to lead a project with a television network in Ottawa. So I'd stay in Ottawa. I'd work out of the client's office, but I'd be working for this agency in Montreal. And I left the Red Blacks. And then like a couple months later, another marketing guy or two left, and they called me. They're like, hey, we're in a pickle here. Like, we don't have enough people, and we know you can run our ads, and we need them run. Like, what would you charge us to do it? And so I started getting paid like 2 or 3 times more than I used to get paid.
Wow.
For just like working less hours and like doing that one thing. And that's when I learned that businesses can only pay employees so much, but they can pay subcontractors way more. So being a subcontractor is much better than being an employee.
Yeah. Because there's no strings attached to, right?
Yeah, an employee, you can't like make more than like your manager. But if you're a subcontractor,
you're unrelated. Yeah, it's directly tied to your value instead of just your salary norms or whatever.
And they have a bit less leverage on you, right? Because sometimes if you're an employee, like they can be like, hey, do this, otherwise we'll have to do this.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, true.
But you mentioned you did a lot of like YouTube, like nerding out. Like, was there anyone? What was like the top guy?
His name, well, not the top guy, but the guy I really liked. His name was actually Hayden.
Wow.
Hayden Bowles. He was from Minnesota, and he was an e-com guy, and he was one of those like early success stories. He was younger than me, I think. He was like 18, and I was maybe like 21 or 22. And he was like the high school dropout, making like $1 million a year, had his Lanllo, like just super talented. But I remember watching him like from the start, where he would write like his monthly revenue like on his whiteboard behind him, and it'd be like, in June I did like $30,000, and like it was like that. And then you get to see him like now he's probably worth like 50 or 60 mil, like something crazy, right? And just lives like the best life. But yeah, he would always be showing like how he'd structure his ads.
Yeah.
For e-commerce, and so I would just like copy them.
Yeah. Damn. And then I saw like you just posted about it recently that you worked with, like DJ Pauly D and stuff like that. Like I think that was pretty early on, but
that was early on.
So like obviously, you have a lot of content about these ads and that generates stuff. But like, how did you connect with someone like that and like land a client like that?
And once again, like that's just through this one particularly was someone I knew.
Okay.
But a lot of opportunities have come to me through just documenting on social. And it doesn't have to be like crazy. Like just making daily stories of what's actually happening and what you're doing is actually the most powerful thing, at least from my experience.
Yeah.
But the Pauly D thing was actually someone I worked with at the Red Blacks, got a new job at an event company, and they were having Pauly D and they needed someone to run the ads. And they were like, hey, if you do this for us, you can meet him as well.
Wow.
So it was just someone that I met at Red Blacks.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Wow. So
And the powerful of connection, right? You never really know where like another person can take you in life.
Yeah. The funniest part about that story though is I told no one that I was doing it. And so I remember like I met him before he went on stage. And then I remember I was just driving home and I just sent a photo to my brother. Like no one had any idea and my brother just like gets a photo of like me with like DJ Pauly D. And I was like, what the hell is happening?
What year was that?
It's pre-COVID. It's 2019.
Okay.
How was he as a person though?
Yeah, he was a G. Like, I mean, I wasn't like hanging out with him. It was like we spent like 2 minutes like saying like just like quick chat, took a photo, and like that was it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just super nice. Like from what I could tell.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, that's really interesting, like how it all started. Like, I wonder, it's crazy to think like where you'd be if you didn't get that internship, or like where you'd take that marketing degree or like what would come. But
it all would work out, brother.
Yeah,
because
I'm sure.
This is how life works. You know, there's a path of least resistance from A to B. If you did every single thing perfectly, you'd do it, right? Mm-hmm. But that doesn't happen for anyone. What really happens is like you kind of have to do this well, so you end up over here, and then you have to do this well, and then you make a mistake, and then but as long as you keep doing it, you end up at B eventually. So if I didn't hit the Red Blacks, I would have got an internship somewhere else, and something it would have ended up at B. Anyway.
I totally agree. Yeah, it's funny. That's actually a reason I love chess so much. I don't know if you play chess.
It was a big goal of mine last year to learn chess, and I never did it.
You have to learn.
So
bro.
Something so fun. That I've learned like recently, like we play a lot, and it's funny because you know, like when you're first learning chess, you know, you learn how the pieces move, and you just kind of play and just hope you win, whatever. And then eventually, someone will hit you with like the 3-move checkmate and whatever, and you'll just be like. You like it hits you for a moment. You're like, oh my god, like these people know all these tricks. I got to learn how to fix these tricks. Yeah. And then that's the first step. But then later down the line, you realize like I don't care about tricks. I don't care about planning ahead. Like if I just know my fundamentals, it literally doesn't matter what they throw at me. I know how to react, and then it's just gonna work out eventually. Like 100%. I don't need to be from step one. This is my plan to get to checkmate. Like I just need to stick to my fundamentals, keep going, and eventually I'll figure it out. Like it's very interesting.
100%.
But how did all that kind of translate into modern marketing? Like what led to that?
Yeah, great question. So I started my TikTok in August 2021, I think, something like that. And I started getting a bunch of followers on TikTok. But they didn't own companies. They were just individuals that were like either working in a company or interested in marketing or all these different things. But I realized I couldn't monetize them because I only owned an ads agency. So unless you own a business, I can't monetize you. And so I was like, you know what? I need a B2C play. I'll make an education company that teaches marketing skills, because that's what I was getting in the DMs. Do you do one-on-one coaching? Do you have a course? Do you do? And I was like, no. And I was like, this is just money on the table, right? When money calls, you pick up. When money calls, you pick up.
Exactly.
And so I was like, you know what? I'll build an education company based on the certificate that I took that got me into the industry, but I'll do, you know, the tweaks that I would do to make it better.
Yeah. And then you have a bunch of courses from other people too. Are they business partners?
Well, no. Like it's not like an education company where I'm the. Okay. I instruct one module, but there's 11.
Yeah.
And like it's an education company. Like it's not Hayden Cashion teaching.
Yeah.
It's modern marketing, and we hire the best instructors in the different realms.
I see.
And they teach the topics.
Yeah.
And so you just specialize on the ads.
I do Facebook and Instagram ads, but we also teach TikTok ads, LinkedIn ads, Google ads. I don't do any of those.
And actually, you recently started doing one about getting hired in marketing, which I thought was really interesting. Yeah. That's a really cool approach.
So we have 3 different verticals. The cohort is the most intense one. It's about 100 hours over a 3-month period. And every single week you're with a new instructor learning a new core topic. So like LinkedIn, TikTok, email marketing, landing pages, whatever. And you have to show up to all the classes. Every single day there's a deliverable you have to do at the end of the session. At the end, there's a final project you have to do. Then we give you all these career services, people to do your resume, your cover letter, your LinkedIn, do interview prep with you, all this different stuff. And then we connect you to hiring partners. So we have a bunch of companies that helped us build the course from a theoretical standpoint that said, you know, if people go through your course and graduate successfully, we'll give them interviews.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that's our main product. And then we essentially take all those recordings, set it as a digital version where there's no jobs guaranteed, because we can't monitor the students if they're doing it digitally, or we don't do the deliverables or the final project, like things that are like hands-on we don't do. And so they get a certificate of completion, but not like the modern marketing certificate. And then we also broke every single week up into individual courses. So those are all the things that are available on the site. And then we also have the cohort, which is it's in person, but it's over Zoom.
Yeah. And then I also saw that you teamed up with like Oxford recently, which is insane, right? Like
that's wild.
How does that come about?
So once again, like putting out content, you just have opportunities come into your email. So Oxford emailed us and they're like, hey, we do joint courses in all different aspects, right? Like we'll have like a finance company come in and do a joint course and this and this and this. And they're like, we're looking for a marketing company to help us do one on social media, specifically organic social media.
Yeah.
And so we had some conversations with them and they wanted to partner, and, you know, we did our part, they did their part, and we created the, it's called Kappa Talks. It's a society at Oxford. Capadocs/Modern Marketing social media certificate. So it was only 6 weeks. It was on the weekends, and they took an Oxford partnered charity, and the whole goal of it, the final project, was to build a social strategy for that charity, pitch it to them. The team that won then actually implemented it with the charity. And so, yeah, just absolutely insane to work with an institution of that level. I was just reading Schwartzman, what's his name? The one of the founders of Blackstone.
Okay.
I was just reading his book, and he talks a lot about like doing partnerships with Oxford in the book. And so it was just like so trippy to be like, I've already done that.
Yeah, that's a moment, eh?
That's crazy.
And I don't know like how comfortable you are getting into it, but like how is Modern Marketing doing? Like is it running well? Is it popular? Is it in terms of revenue and stuff? Like how's that running for you?
Yeah, the first year we had two things that really worked. The economy for hiring was quite good, and TikTok was cooking. So in 8 weeks, we sold out the first cohort through TikTok.
Wow.
And that's the fully involved course where you're,
So we sold it out. Everyone who went through got a job, or some of them are business owners, so they just wanted to learn all the skills.
Yeah.
So, but everyone that wanted a job got a job. That was sick. The second cohort was definitely more challenging because of the state of hiring. Like a lot of people doing freezes and cuts.
Yeah.
And it was like this 2023 year was quite difficult, but it just took longer to get everyone jobs. Everyone still had interviews, but the companies were a lot tougher.
Yeah.
And obviously, like we're taking people that have maybe never even touched marketing, and we're spending 100 hours with them. So teaching them like a significant amount, but they're still a junior marketer. Like they're not going to come in and, you know, spend $100,000 a month on Facebook ads and crush. Like, and so it's a very specific position, and so it's a lot more difficult this year, but we just kept working. You know, we just kept connecting with more businesses, kept getting people more interviews until everyone was satisfied. And then this year, we're planning on running a cohort in June. So we're still looking at that. But what we really want to get cooking is our e-commerce model, because the way the business is structured right now, it's like boom and then flat, right? Because you sell for like 8 weeks this cohort, make a ton of cash, but then you're doing the cohort. And we're not at the scale yet where we'd like overlap another cohort and another cohort and another cohort. So it's an inconsistent revenue business by design. And so we want to get that baseline e-commerce revenue slowly scaling so that we can scale the business with confidence, because we know every month we can expect this much coming in. And so we're making a pivot there, really trying to get into the e-commerce side further.
And that would just be selling courses individually.
Selling courses individually, but if you buy our top tier digital product, you still get career services. So you still get people that will do your resume, do your cover letter, do your LinkedIn, interview prep you, all that stuff. So basically, we've set it up where you do all the work that the cohort would do. You just don't do the final project, because that creates like a manual grading process where it's not scaled. You can't scale that. And so that's the only thing that's removed. And then you still get all the career services. So if you take that, even if you have no experience before, you learn all the skills, and you get someone that's going to handhold you through the job process. So we really want to find, you know, the path to consistency with that.
Yeah.
Are you guys running ads, or are you just fully
We're running ads.
Okay. So you're not just fully so you're not just fully so you're not just fully relying on organic content.
No.
For traffic.
No. Not the thing about it is my core competency is running ads, right? So we can do that very efficiently.
Yeah.
And organic content is phenomenal.
Okay.
It's just what drives that is creative talent.
Yeah.
And that's not my core competency. That my business partner is much more on the sales side. So that's not his core competency. And so we really lean into our strengths, right? If you're my business partner, we do organic.
Yeah.
But it makes the most sense at this moment.
Yeah.
Question about like content. I know like seeing your stuff, you're putting out a lot of like quantity content, and a lot of the times like for myself, I'm just thinking like, you know what, maybe I should take that realm of like just like post every day, maybe post twice a day. But then a big part of me is also thinking like, maybe I'll just post maybe like once a week, but make sure it's like quality content, like spend like a day filming and then spend another day just editing and just putting out like quality content. What are your thoughts on people like me overthinking about posting consistently?
Yeah, the problem with that thought is that there is no answer.
Okay.
So sitting around and thinking about that for too long becomes a waste of time, right? It's something to consider at the start when you're building the strategy.
Yeah.
And you can build a strategy either direction. There's case studies on either side of that working, but you have to commit to, posting infrequently but bangers.
Yeah.
Or frequently and maybe just more regular.
Yeah.
Both strategies work. So it's not about you have to or have not to, if that's even how you say it. But yeah, you have to pick a strategy and then focus on it.
Yeah.
With someone posting that much and creating that much content, how do you like avoid burning out? Or like where do your ideas even come from? Is it just from just doing shit? Or is it just from just having conversations with cool people? Like, it's just crazy. It's just, when I scroll through your like reels or TikTok, I just see a bunch of content. Because sometimes for me, like, I want to make content, but sometimes like going into the brainstorming like content ideas is just so difficult. So how do you come up with that, and then how do you not burn out?
Yeah, so you're catching me at an interesting time because I'm pivoting, I'm changing how I do it. So I'll tell you both sides. So in the past, it was about efficiency. It was about how do I produce as much content as quickly as possible and put it out. And what I would do is, like, after a conversation like this, I'd go on my phone and write like 4 or 5 like things that we talked about that I was like, oh, that was interesting. Make a video about that. But then every topic we'd make 2 or 3 videos about. A long version, short form version, a checklist version. Like, you can take a concept and manipulate it 5 or 6 ways quite easily.
Yeah.
So one idea can become 6 videos. And then if you post them at different time scales, like, you don't even realize you're saying the same thing 6 times. And so that's one way to be efficient. Another great way is, like, this was the best way actually, is I would do virtual podcasts. Jamie would film it, but he'd be on the side taking notes. So now our ideas are literally generating themselves because through the podcast they're asking interesting questions. Then we'd literally go into shooting content.
Wow.
Make 2 or 3 videos off of those. I'm also subscribed to a bunch of newsletters, so kind of new updates hit me every single morning. If there's anything interesting, I'll read about it, make notes about it. Those would be videos.
Okay.
And then also when I'm dealing with clients or just talking to people about marketing, I'll maybe say something interesting. They'll say something interesting. I'll take a note. So by the time I shoot, I have a bunch of ideas and I make a bunch of videos off of each idea.
Yeah.
And then in the past, I would just try to go as fast as possible. Like, don't overthink it. Just because there was one point where I was posting 6 times a day.
Jesus.
Wow.
4 times on marketing, 2 on my personal, and then across each channel. So maybe like 20, 30 times a day.
Wow.
Yeah. And like, but people were doing the posting for me, but that was like the scale. That's how we blew it up. Cohort 1 is we'd post 4 times a day across like 4 channels, 16 times a day.
Wow.
And that's great, but I want to move more into like an intentional space. And really, like, when you're going that fast, at least for me, I couldn't craft a brand because I was too busy just trying to create. Go, 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 go. No time, no time, no time. Out, 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 out. Right? But now I want to be much more intentional about, like, where do I see the future, and who do I want to be in the future, and what's the path to that person in the future. And I'm not exactly sure what that looks like yet because I'm in the process of figuring that out. And I really mean that. Like, I spend 30 minutes a day, every single day, slowly chipping away. But yeah, the strategy will change. It won't be as much quantity because I can't do more quantity. So it's definitely not going more quantity.
Yeah.
But it's going to be much more intentional.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you mentioned like looking forward, like rethinking how you do things to look towards the future. And I know we're kind of coming up on our end here, but I was wondering, like, what do you see? I know you mentioned this year you want to focus on, hanging out with your friends more, like build those personal relationships. I think that's a really cool goal.
Hanging out with friends more.
No,
we can
like,
all
genuinely,
relate, bro.
be a better like brother, son. Like be close to your family.
I got tons of goals. Yeah.
But overall, like, what do you see the next few years looking like? Like, what's some big goals?
Yeah, like, I have a lot of goals because I look at my life holistically. I have 8 categories that I look at when I goal set. A big one for me this year is personal finance. I've always been someone that just like focuses on earning. How much can I earn? How much can I earn? How much can I earn? But now I'm learning a lot about like how you manage that money efficiently. How you do stuff that's like gives you tax advantages, and things of that nature. And so that's a big one for me. Another big one is my health. So, making sure, for me, I need to sleep 7.5 hours a night. And so figuring out a system that does that, figuring out like a night routine that helps me get right to sleep, things like that, making sure I drink enough water, cutting down food expenses. I ran the numbers on Friday of how much I spend on Uber Eats. And
what are the numbers?
No, it's just not good. And so I literally, like, this is how insane my Uber Eats spending is. If this is how it's framed up, okay? I looked at what I'm 28. I looked at what the average Canadian 28-year-old male spends on groceries a month.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. If I stop spending on Uber Eats and I spend double what the average Canadian male spends on groceries a month, just by making that change, I will hit my financial goals for the year.
Jesus.
Oh my god.
Is that insane?
That is insane.
And so
I can only imagine.
making changes like that.
But that's the thing too, though, because like here's the thing, like making food prepping takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And so you can put that same time and energy into your business that can generate you more money.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, right?
100%.
Like Alex Hormozi was big on, like, before he got to where he is right now, just Chipotle all the time.
Yep.
Just because it was just convenient for him rather than making food.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was spending a lot of money, but then the money that the time that he was saving, it was being put into something important.
And like I've systemized food for like the last 3 years.
Okay.
I haven't cooked for like 3 years. I used to do this thing in Ottawa called Viddle, where they deliver food to your door every single day, like 2 meals every single day that you just like heat up, and they were fresh. Like literally every day they deliver.
Oh, wow.
So I did that, and then lived that Uber Eats life a little bit. Have done like Good Foods and HelloFresh, but that required cooking. But what you begin to learn is like it's not that simple. Like a lot of people look at that, and you're right. If you look at it that simple,
Yeah,
you're right. But when I cook, I get to control, what's in my body. I also get to learn a new skill. I'm not a very good chef. I'm learning that skill. I also get to spend an hour with my partner, and we get to work on communication and teamwork in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I also get to mentally check out from work, which resets me a little bit. And so when you click down to a lower level, I'm not saying that like what Hormozi does is wrong, but I'm saying there's much more variables to consider as you look at a holistic life.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because realistically, you can't realistically spend every waking moment working. Like it just, your brain will fry.
At 6 p.m. at night, like the output I'm doing on work, 50% of the time is very inefficient, where it's like I could do it in 1/3 the time if I just do it in the morning.
And if you take that time to reset, refresh, you'll be way more efficient in the morning too than if you just kind of half-ass it till
and you just drag it on, and next thing you know, you're like, oh, you know what, I'll just do it tomorrow morning. And then you just wasted 4 hours of you trying to do that thing.
Is I've lived a life when I was single of just work, and I went through burnout.
Yeah,
like I've experienced that, and now, having someone that like forces me to check out without like forcing me, it's just natural.
Yeah,
makes me check out. Like I don't look at my phones in the evening, but when I wake up in the morning, I'm like I could run through a wall, bro. Like the amount of like fire I have because I haven't worked for 4 hours. Is like insane. Whereas before I'd basically like work till I sleep, wake up, roll into it, and just have no like vigor.
Totally.
You just be like, okay, here we go. Let's get back into it. Versus now it's like my office is there. I want to run through the window. You know what I mean? Like
that's amazing. No, it's so important. Like, like I find early on, you just think every minute I'm not working is wasted. Like I'm trying to do something here that, it's my input's the only factor of whether it works out or not. So you want to like do everything you can, but you realize taking that time actually makes you more. And
like time input is super important, and the more time you put in, like you do, it is good. But like the things that make you the most money are not the things that took you the most time. Yeah. And you can argue that time in the background built you up to a place where that could happen. But like it's not grinding 16-hour days that's going to make you a billionaire. Like that's not how it works. It's being very strategic and clever and knowing how to organize people that do work, that actually turn a profit with a low time input. Like it's the art.
It's a master plan. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, it's really
everything's coordinated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that.
No, absolutely. It's true. Man, this has been a really cool chat. I mean, this is such a cool set. I love it. This is probably my favorite view so far.
I know. I can't wait. This is my first podcast here. And like I was telling you guys earlier, like I want to create a setup here that like we can enjoy, but also can be flipped around and just simply turn into a podcast. So it's kind of cool to see it come to life.
I mean, there's potential here for sure. This is beautiful.
Bro, podcast at night, that would be sick. Because like all the lights in the background.
Yeah. No.
That would be sick.
The city is so pretty at night. Like the thing about it is if you like come out of the bedroom and like just, you know, come into here at night, like it's illuminated.
Wow.
Like you can't have pitch black, which is like kind of annoying sometimes, but the Rogers Center always has lights on it.
Yeah.
And whatever color the Rogers Center is, it just beams into here.
Wow.
So it's usually blue.
That's
So
cool.
it's all blue in here. Yeah.
You have your own little LED strips.
That's
free.
That's true. And nobody can really see you from up here, huh? Like
No,
even those buildings, you can't
just walk
really...
around naked, brother.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I know what you're thinking.
I love it. That's episode 2. We'll come back to that. No, I love it. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you having us out here, though.
Dude,
No,
I'm so pumped you guys came down.
Yeah.
No, this is a treat, man.
Just
to be out here, connect with you, have conversation, you know, meet you for the second time.
So, like, I guess for someone watching, you know, if they wanted to get involved, like, you know, if they own a business, Cashion marketing, if they want to learn about marketing, modern. But otherwise, just follow you on Instagram. Keep up with what you're doing.
Oh, I thought you were gonna ask me for a tip or something.
No, I'm asking, how do they find you? How do they?
I thought the
same thing.
Yeah. I thought we were going into a final question. Yeah, Hayden.Cashion on Instagram is the best way to connect with me if you want to talk to me. I'm always active in the DMs there, and Hayden Cashion on TikTok. There's a lot of other places like for the companies and stuff, but if you just follow me there, you'll figure the rest.
You'll know
out.
what's going on.
Yeah,
beauty.
No, absolutely.
I love it, man. Well, I
want a final question though. I
final
need a banger
question.
Okay, final
Yeah.
question. My final question is: let's say this whole digital world just went to shit. Okay, the internet no longer existed, so no more digital footprint or anything. What would you be doing?
Ooh, that's such
I like that.
Like you had to like reset, figure it out.
Impressive. So if it all went away, like the internet, the internet went away and never came back.
Yeah,
internet went away and never came back. I think I would go find are you asking me to earn money? Is it like
yeah. Like how would you redevelop your career and like make a living?
My career.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Like what would you be doing?
I would definitely like create a physical business. That would definitely be
what would you translate the skills that you've learned? Because like that's the thing. Like a lot of our skills is digital.
I would go to a physical business that's already operating, like from the past, the internet era. And I would be like, look, let me go like build your business. Let me go get you more clients. It depends what the business is, but let me go just like make you more money.
Yeah.
And I would spend X amount of time, 4 to 6 months, like just running around and being a psycho and learning how to crush this business and do it differently. And then I would do my own.
Yeah. What kind of marketing would you be doing? Would you be doing like newspaper? Would you be doing bus ads?
The first thing I would do is make sure the storefront is insane. Because I think a lot of people miss just like foot traffic in a city like this, especially.
Yeah.
And I would also make sure the experience in the store is great because there's no point in sending people somewhere they're gonna hate.
Yeah. It's funny because you can see your kind of advertising mind working because it's the same. If you run an ad, it's pointless if the website's trash.
Yeah. Or the product behind it sucks. And so I would make sure that like when people show up, it's gonna be unbelievable because what happens, especially for, you know, a great example is my clients that are restaurants that we get them reservations. I always tell them every month we're going to get you X amount of new reservations, but if you're spending the same amount on ads, it's going to be about the same. Mm-hmm. So say for what you're spending, you're getting 100 new reservations, which is fine. And that'll happen every month, but it's those 100 reservations talking about you. That is the exponential on top of the consistent. So it's 100, 100, 100, 100. But because of the word of mouth, it then becomes 110, 125, 150, 200, like that. And so, but that's all based on experience, right? And so you want to bring people in that are then going to become megaphones. And so, I would make sure that the experience of the business I choose is amazing. Then I'd go out and I'd start to just like talk to people and try to get them in hand to hand because I want to learn what works. And then when I learn what works, I would then turn that into, you know, local marketing material. Yeah.
I love it.
That's a beautiful answer.
Yeah. That was very interesting.
So
question.
You wouldn't
interesting about it?
It was a good question, man. I was not expecting what the internet's gone.
I don't know I've never heard that question ever. That was great.
No, but I just have weird thoughts sometimes. Like, yo, like if you really want to end the world, just fucking remove the internet.
Yeah.
Literally, no more mobile banking, no more like no communication. Like we literally.
Have you guys seen that movie that just came out on Netflix?
Which movie? I don't.
The one that the Obamas like helped produce.
No.
the end. I forget what it's called. It's just look it up. It just came out on Netflix, and basically it's like if there was an attack on like the grid, in the U.S., like what would happen, and like the Obamas like went over it and were basically like, yeah, it's like 90% accurate.
Wow.
It's pretty freaky, and so
that's interesting.
Yeah,
I definitely gotta check that.
Next
out.
project: build a bunker.